some of the material in this exhibition started more than 10 years ago when I went on a residency in Finland, in Vasa, for a Platform Artists Association, and became fascinated with ice because it was January and February. It was very cold, and I had gone there with the intention of kind of investigating and engaging with ice, but it was a very real situation, and the Bay of Bothnia freezes over every winter. It's like a low salinity sea, so a lot of fresh water comes in from the north, and it freezes very easily. So it's very interesting when a place transforms completely every season, going from being surrounded by water and islands to being really frozen over. And so it was, I guess, my interest just simply to observe how it was in the winter and what changes in the local culture and the regional culture based on this freezing over of the Bothnia Bay. So this is the film Drift Zones about this. But this started a long process of, kind of being fascinated with ice as a material and maybe a symbol of climate, and so it's continued, since then. And it's good to be finally, with the encouragement, I think, of Marika over the last few years to kind of really bring this out, that these works have been in process.
And every year it's a new situation around it, so you have to modify and adjust your actions, whether there is ice or not. And it affects our everyday life, our everyday decisions. It's something to constantly take into consideration. But this year was truly exceptional, and I think it somehow supports the overall context for this exhibition, as these ice conditions that we witnessed this year are only in every 10 years or so.
But at the same time, it was one of the lowest years. It was below average for Arctic ice cover. So ice is deceptive in the way that you can again think it's telling you something, when in fact you have to really understand it even on the broadest sense of what's actually happening in terms of global climate and so on. So I think it's really quite an endlessly fascinating topic.
Yeah, and as John mentioned before, ice works as a symbol, so it's quite important, like a symbol to speak about the climate change. So through this it opens up different perspectives. Like if we celebrate ice here in Estonia 1 year, it actually means something else in another place. So
I started probably 2 or 3 years ago, kind of zooming in as well, not just looking at the bigger picture, but really trying to understand this kind of materiality of ice. So, and these photos are actually from this year. It's just ice from my pond at my house, and but what is interesting when you really look, especially in the later part of the year when it starts melting, is these bubbles that end up being part of the ice. So I kind of ended up focusing on bubbles for this series because they're definitely a fantastic subject matter in the way that they reflect light and kind of illustrate this liquid aspect of ice. But also, again, I've discovered that bubbles are a strong indicator about different types of ice, like how old it is or what kind of, how it was formed and so on. So there is a kind of yeah, there's always a sort of, to the creative artistic side, there's always a real story there from maybe a more scientific perspective. So I want, or I hope that people understand this and take this away.
I have like a very personal relation to John's works or John's practice, and I could only speak for my personal, I don't know, attunement or how I attune with John's work. I think it's very meditative, and it doesn't really impose strong impression on you. It allows you to just sit and contemplate, which is really something to appreciate. That it somehow doesn't overflood your nervous system with all sorts of impulses, and it allows you to generate your own understanding and make sense of the relations and the information you get from the work. So I truly admire this way of allowing the audience to make their own conclusions or understandings.